Captain Day 1 stepped off the transport shuttle and onto Station Theta 7 for the first time. The massive space station stretched in every direction, its curved walls reaching up into impossible heights. Lights of every color dotted the ceiling like stars. Beings from 100 different worlds moved through the wide corridors. Some walked on two legs like humans. Others floated, crawled, or slithered past. "It's beautiful," Lieutenant Hana said beside him. She carried a data tablet pressed against her chest. Her eyes were wide as she watched a group of tall, blue-skinned aliens drift by. They moved like seaweed in ocean currents. "Stay close," Day 1 told his team. "Remember, we're representing all of humanity here." Ambassador Yuri adjusted his formal jacket. The older man had been a diplomat for 20 years on Earth, but this was his first time dealing with aliens. "The welcome ceremony starts in 1 hour. We should head to the assembly hall." They walked through the station's main corridor. Other species gave them curious looks. Some stopped to stare. A few made gestures that their translation devices couldn't interpret. Day 1 kept his face calm and friendly. He had been a soldier once before humanity reached the stars. He knew how to keep his emotions hidden. The Galactic Coalition had accepted humanity only 6 months ago. Earth's leaders had been thrilled. For the first time, humans were part of something bigger. The Coalition promised trade, technology, and friendship. They said the galaxy was peaceful. Wars hadn't happened in thousands of years, but something felt wrong to Day 1. He couldn't explain it. A feeling in his gut like before combat, like being watched by something in the shadows. They reached a large open area filled with aliens. This was the diplomatic reception. Hundreds of species gathered in small groups, talking and sharing drinks. The air smelled strange, like flowers mixed with metal and something else Day 1 couldn't name. "Let's mingle," Yuri said. "Remember your training? Be polite. Smile. Don't make sudden movements." Hana laughed nervously. "You make it sound like we're approaching wild animals." "In a way we are," Yuri replied. "Just as they're approaching us." Day 1 watched his team spread out into the crowd. Hana approached a group of small furry creatures that looked like rabbits standing upright. They greeted her warmly, their large eyes blinking with interest. Yuri joined a circle of diplomatic types, all wearing formal clothing from their various worlds. Day 1 stayed near the wall, observing. Another old habit from his military days. Always keep your back protected. Always watch the room. That's when he saw it. Across the large hall, a creature stood alone. It was tall, maybe 7 feet, with a body like a praying mantis, but thicker, stronger. Its skin was dark green and looked like armor, forearms folded against its chest. But what caught Day 1's attention were its eyes. Large compound eyes that reflected light like jewels. And those eyes were staring directly at him. The creature's body language changed. Day 1 had studied animal behavior during survival training. He recognized the signs. The alien's head tilted slightly. Its limbs tensed. Spines along its back that had been flat now rose slowly like a cat's fur standing up. The alien started walking toward him. Day 1 didn't move. He kept eye contact, steady and calm. Something inside him understood this moment was important. He couldn't look away. Wouldn't look away. The alien stopped 5 feet from him. Up close it was even more impressive. Its compound eyes reflected Day 1's face 1,000 times. For a long moment neither of them moved. The noise of the reception seemed to fade away. Then the alien did something strange. It brought all 4 of its arms together in front of its chest and bowed its head slightly. Not a gesture of submission. Something else. Respect, maybe. Or recognition. "I am Vrelnir Ambassador Kelth," the alien said. Its voice came from a translation device on its chest, speaking perfect Korean. "You are human. Captain Day 1, he replied. "This is my first time on the station." "I see," Kelth said. The alien's eyes seemed to look not just at him, but into him. "You have the eyes." "The eyes?" "Forward-facing. The mark of—" Kelth paused as if searching for the right word. "The mark of those who hunt. On my world, only the apex predators have such eyes. The ones who fear nothing because they are the ones to be feared." Day 1 felt a chill run down his spine. "Humans don't hunt anymore, not like our ancestors did." "Perhaps," Kelth said. "But the eyes remember. The body remembers. When I look at you, I see what I see when I look in a mirror. A hunter, a predator, a being who understands the taking of life." The alien's words should have sounded threatening, but they didn't. They sounded almost friendly. Like meeting someone from your hometown in a foreign country. "Is that a problem?" Day 1 asked carefully. "No," Kelth said. The translator gave the word a warm tone. It is refreshing. Most species here, they evolved as prey. They look at me and see death. They fear me, though they try to hide it. But you, the alien's head tilted again. You do not fear me. Daewon realized it was true. He felt no fear looking at this massive alien predator, just curiosity, and a strange sense of understanding. My people evolved from pack hunters, Kelth continued. Long ago, before we built cities, we hunted in the forests of our world. We learned to think, to plan, to work together. That is how we became intelligent, through the hunt. Humans too, Daewon said quietly. We came from the plains of Africa. We hunted animals much larger than us. We used tools and teamwork. Yes, Kelth said, and the translator made it sound like satisfaction. I thought so. I can see it in how you stand, how you watch the room. You check escape routes. You position yourself with your back protected. These are hunter behaviors. Before Daewon could respond, Hana appeared at his elbow. She looked nervous, seeing him talking to the large alien. Captain, the ceremony is about to start, she said. Kelth stepped back and bowed again with all four arms. We will speak more, Captain Daewon. I would like to understand your species better. I think we have much in common. The alien walked away, moving through the crowd with surprising grace. Other species moved out of its path, giving it space. What was that about? Hana asked. I'm not sure, Daewon said, but he was starting to have an idea. The ceremony began. Speeches were made in dozens of languages, translated instantly by their devices. Coalition leaders welcomed humanity. They spoke of peace, cooperation, and unity. They said the galaxy was safer and better with humans as part of the family. But Daewon noticed something during the ceremony. Other aliens were watching him and his team. Not all of them, just certain ones. A massive bear-like creature with silver fur kept glancing at Yuri. A sleek, cat-like alien with purple skin stared at Hana. Each of these watchers had one thing in common: forward-facing eyes. After the ceremony, the bear-like alien approached Yuri. Daewon moved closer to listen. You are Ambassador Yuri, the alien rumbled. Its voice was deep, like distant thunder. Yes, Yuri said, trying to smile despite his obvious nervousness at the creature's size. I am Korvath Elder Mons, the alien said. I wanted to speak with you, to look at you properly. The massive being leaned down, bringing its face level with Yuri's. Its eyes, deep brown and intelligent, stared into the ambassador's face. Then it did something surprising. It made a sound, a low rumble that the translator labeled as approval. You have seen death, Mons said. I can tell. You have looked into the eyes of something that wanted to kill you and you survived. This is good. The Coalition needs beings who understand that life is more than peace and comfort. Life is also struggle and survival. Yuri looked shocked. Daewon wondered what the ambassador had experienced that the alien somehow knew about. As the reception ended, and the human team prepared to return to their quarters, Daewon pulled out his personal tablet and made notes. Something strange was happening. Something the Coalition either didn't understand or wasn't telling them. Predator species across the galaxy were recognizing something in humans, something in their eyes, their behavior, their very nature. They saw humans not as weak newcomers, but as kindred spirits. As fellow hunters, the question was why? And what did it mean for humanity's future in the stars? Daewon looked at his reflection in the dark window of their shuttle. His own eyes stared back at him, forward-facing, alert, the eyes of a predator. For the first time, he understood what Kelth had seen, and it both excited and frightened him. Dr. Hyen checked her presentation one more time. The Coalition research vessel called Harmony's Path floated in deep space, far from any star. Inside its massive lecture hall, representatives from 40 different species waited to hear her speak about human evolution. Nervous? Asked Mira, the security officer assigned to protect the human delegation. Terrified, Jan admitted. She was a scientist, not a public speaker, but Earth's government had chosen her for this task. Someone needed to explain humanity to the galaxy. What if I say something wrong? What if I offend them? Just tell the truth, Mira said. She stood by the door, watching the aliens file into the room. That's all we can do. Captain Daewon entered with Ambassador Yuri. They took seats in the front row. Daewon gave Hyan an encouraging nod. The lights dimmed. Hyun stepped onto the stage. Holographic displays activated around her, ready to show images and videos from Earth. Thank you for inviting me, she began. Her voice shook slightly. I'm here to share the story of human evolution, how we became what we are today. She started with the beginning. Images of early Earth appeared, showing vast forests and grasslands. Then came the first humans walking upright across the African savanna. The alien audience watched with interest. They made notes on their various devices. Some whispered to each other in languages her translator couldn't catch. Our ancestors faced many challenges, Jan continued. They were small. They had no claws, no fangs, no natural armor. They were slow compared to other animals. So how did they survive? She showed the next image. Early humans working together, carrying primitive spears. They used their minds. They made tools. They worked in groups, and most importantly, they hunted. A ripple went through the audience. Several aliens shifted in their seats. Jan felt the change in atmosphere but pushed forward. She showed videos of ancient hunting techniques, humans tracking animals for days, humans working together to bring down prey much larger than themselves. This is called persistence hunting, she explained. Humans would chase an animal until it collapsed from exhaustion. No other predator on Earth could do this. We weren't the fastest or the strongest, but we could outlast anything. More aliens shifted uncomfortably. A few stood up and quietly left the hall. Hyun's stomach tightened. She looked at Daewon, who gestured for her to continue. She showed images of early human cave paintings, pictures of hunts, of successful kills, of humans celebrating their prey. Hunting wasn't just survival for humans, she said. It shaped everything about us. Our bodies evolved to throw weapons with incredible accuracy. Our brains grew larger to plan complex hunts. We developed language to coordinate attacks. We learned empathy and cooperation because hunting big game required trusting your fellow hunters with your life. By now, nearly half the audience had left. The ones remaining looked deeply uncomfortable. Only a few species seemed interested, and Hyun noticed they all had forward-facing eyes. She finished her presentation quickly, cutting out several sections she had planned. The applause was polite but thin. After the lecture, Council Leader Thranal approached her. The old alien looked like a deer standing on two legs with soft gray fur and large, gentle eyes. Dr. Hyun, may I speak with you privately? Thranal asked. They went to a small conference room. Daewon and Yuri joined them. Mira stood guard outside the door. Thranal settled into a chair designed for their body shape. The alien's long fingers tapped nervously on the table. Your presentation was very educational, Thranal said carefully. I'm sorry if I upset anyone, Hyun replied. I didn't mean to— No, Thranal interrupted gently. You did nothing wrong. You simply told the truth, and the truth is what frightens them. I don't understand, Yuri said. Thranal was quiet for a moment. Then the alien sighed, a very human-like sound. There is something the Coalition has not told humanity, something we should have explained when you first joined us. Thranal's eyes looked sad. The Galactic Coalition was formed 5,000 years ago. Every founding species had one thing in common. We were all prey. The word hung in the air. Prey? Hyun repeated. Yes. Every intelligent species in the Coalition evolved from herbivores or prey animals, species that survived by running, hiding, or blending in. We built civilization not from the hunt, but from the need to escape being hunted. Thranal stood and walked to the window. Outside, stars dotted the darkness. On my world, there were predators. Terrible, beautiful creatures that hunted my ancestors for millions of years. They were solitary, aggressive, and very intelligent in their own way. But they never developed technology. They never needed to. They were perfect killing machines. What happened to them? Daewon asked quietly. We killed them, Thranal said flatly. When my people developed tools and weapons, we hunted the hunters. We drove them to extinction, or we put them in reserves in cages where they could never threaten us again. Hyun felt cold. Every species in the Coalition did this? Most of us, yes. Some predator species died out naturally. Some destroyed themselves in their aggression. But none of them ever reached the stars. The galaxy belongs to those who survived by cooperation, not competition. By peace, not violence. Until now, Yuri said. Until now, Thranal agreed. Humanity is the first predator species to achieve spaceflight through intelligence rather than aggression. You evolved from hunters, yet you built a civilization based on cooperation. You have the eyes of a killer and the heart of a community. You are unique. Mira entered the room suddenly, her tablet in hand. Sorry to interrupt, but something strange is happening. I've been reviewing reports from other human teams across Coalition space. She placed her tablet on the table. Videos played showing different human encounters with alien wildlife. In the first video, a human exploration team walked through a forest on some distant planet. Suddenly, massive creatures emerged from the trees. They looked like reptiles crossed with lions, each one bigger than a horse. The creatures surrounded the humans, but they didn't attack. The largest creature approached the team leader. It stared into the human's eyes for several long seconds. Then it made a low sound and backed away, taking the rest of its pack with it. This was on a wildlife preserve, Mira explained. Those creatures are called Srelkoth. They're apex predators from a world 50 light-years from here. They were kept on this reserve after their species went extinct in the wild. She showed another video. A human scientist studying alien ocean life encountered a massive predator in the water. The creature circled her 3 times, then swam away without attacking. Same pattern, Mira said. Apex predators approaching humans, studying us, then leaving peacefully. It's happening across a dozen different worlds. Threnel watched the videos with wide eyes. This is what we feared, the alien said quietly. What do you mean? Hyun asked. The predators recognize you. They see humans as fellow hunters, as equals, or perhaps as alphas. On your world, you were the apex predator. You climbed to the top of the food chain through intelligence and cooperation, and somehow predators from entirely different worlds can see that in you. Daewon stood and walked to the window, hands behind his back. Is this why some coalition species are afraid of us? They think we'll treat them like prey? Some fear that, yes, Threnal admitted. They see your forward-facing eyes, your hunting heritage, and they remember the predators that once chased their ancestors. They wonder if humanity will become what we escaped from. But we're not like that, Hyun protested. Humans have empathy. We have laws, morals, ethics. We don't just kill because we can. I know, Threnal said gently. And that is why I voted to accept humanity into the coalition, despite the concerns of others. You are predators, yes, but you are also kind. You protect the weak. You care for the injured. You create art and music. You are what the galaxy has never seen before, a predator species that chose cooperation over domination. Yuri leaned forward. What happens now? Will the coalition ask us to leave? I don't know, Threnal said honestly. There will be debates, votes, many species are afraid. But there are also those of us who see opportunity. For 5,000 years, the coalition has avoided predators. We've hidden from them, killed them or kept them locked away. Perhaps it is time we learn to understand them instead. And you, humanity, might be the teachers we need. The meeting ended soon after. As the humans returned to their quarters, Hyun couldn't stop thinking about what they had learned. The galaxy was built on fear. Fear of predators, fear of violence, fear of the hunt. Humanity carried all those things in their history. The question was whether the galaxy could accept them anyway, or whether humans would always be seen as the wolves among sheep, no matter how peaceful their intentions. That night, Daewon stood alone in the observation deck. He looked at the stars and thought about predators recognizing predators across the void of space, about ancient fears and ancient bonds, about the weight of millions of years of evolution that humans carried in their very eyes. The hunt was over for humanity. They had climbed to the top of the food chain and then chosen to build civilizations instead of just hunting grounds. But the galaxy still saw the hunters when they looked at humans, and perhaps Daewon thought they always would. Jinseo adjusted her pack and checked her equipment one final time. The shuttle had just landed on Karvos 9, a planet that most coalition species considered the most dangerous place in the galaxy. It was a wildlife reserve, home to apex predators from dozens of extinct civilizations. Are you sure about this? The pilot asked nervously. He was a coalition member, a being with blue skin and eyes on the sides of his head. Prey eyes. No one goes down there willingly. We'll be fine, Jinseo said with confidence she didn't entirely feel. She had been a wildlife tracker on Earth, studying lions and tigers before humanity reached the stars. But this was different. These weren't Earth predators. Ready? Asked Tae-Yang, the team's exobiologist. He looked excited despite the danger. Behind him stood Nara, their security specialist. She carried weapons but hoped she wouldn't need them. Captain Daewon had personally approved this mission. After the revelations on Harmony's path, the Coalition granted humanity special permission to study the predator reserves. They wanted to understand why these apex predators reacted differently to humans than to other species. The shuttle lifted off. leaving the three humans alone on an alien world filled with creatures that could kill them in seconds. Well, Tae-Yang said, looking at the dense forest surrounding them, let's go meet the neighbors. They hiked for 2 hours through terrain unlike anything on Earth. The trees were purple and grew in spiral patterns. The sky was orange, lit by a distant red sun. Strange sounds echoed through the forest, calls of animals that had never seen a human before. Jinseo stopped suddenly and held up her hand. The others froze. There, she whispered, pointing to a thick patch of undergrowth. At first, Tae-Yang saw nothing. Then the vegetation moved, and he realized he was looking at a creature with active camouflage. Its skin shifted colors to match the background. The creature was massive, at least the size of a tiger, with 6 legs and a long, flexible body. Vrax, Jinseo said quietly, checking her database. Ambush predators from a world called Vrax's Prime. Extinct in the wild for 300 years. They hunt alone and can take down prey 3 times their size. The Vrax stepped out of the undergrowth. Its camouflage faded, revealing dark scales with patterns of gold and red. It had no visible eyes, but Jinseo knew from her research that it could see in multiple spectrums humans couldn't perceive. The creature's head turned toward them. It made a low sound, something between a growl and a purr. Don't move, Nara said, her hand near her weapon. Don't run. I'm not running, Jinseo replied. Watch. She slowly lowered herself to one knee, making herself less tall but not submissive. She kept her eyes on where she guessed the Vrax's face was. Direct eye contact, just like with Earth predators. The Vrax moved closer. 6 legs carried it in a smooth, flowing motion. It circled the humans once, then twice. Jinseo could smell it now, a scent like copper and rain. The creature stopped directly in front of Jinseo. They were 3 feet apart. Close enough that she could see the rise and fall of its breathing. Close enough to die if it attacked, but it didn't attack. Instead, it sat back on its haunches the way a cat might sit, watching. Studying. Hello? Jinseo said softly. We're not here to hurt you. Of course, the Vrax couldn't understand her words. But tone mattered. Body language mattered. On Earth, she had learned that predators understood confidence, calm, respect. The Vrax made another sound, different this time. Then it stood and walked away, disappearing back into the forest as its camouflage activated. Tae-Yang let out a breath he'd been holding. That was incredible. It could have killed us, but it didn't, Jinseo said, standing up. It was curious. It wanted to know what we were. They set up camp that evening in a clearing. Jinseo insisted they sleep in the open, not in protective shelters. If we hide, we look like prey, she explained. Predators hunt things that hide. That night, 3 more Vrax came to their camp. The creatures circled the humans in the darkness, their camouflage making them nearly invisible. Jinseo sat by the fire and watched them calmly. She told Tae-Yang and Nara not to show fear. The Vrax stayed until morning, then vanished with the dawn. On the 2nd day, they encountered a different species. The Nethril looked like wolves, but larger and with 6 legs. They had thick fur that shimmered with silver highlights, and their eyes glowed yellow in the dim light of the forest. Pack hunters, Tae-Yang read from his tablet. Highly intelligent. They communicate through complex vocalizations and body language. From a high-gravity world, they went extinct after their prey species developed weapons. There were 5 of them. They moved through the trees with practiced coordination, spreading out to surround the human team. Nara tensed. This looks like a hunting pattern. It is, Jinseo agreed. They're testing us. Seeing if we'll run, the largest Nethril stepped forward. It was clearly the pack leader. The creature's eyes locked onto Nara's face. Neither of them looked away. Seconds passed. The other Nethril waited, watching their leader for signals. Then Nara did something unexpected. She tilted her head slightly to the side, the same gesture the Nethril Alpha had made. A mirror. A response. The Alpha's ears perked forward. It made a sound, a series of barks and low tones. The translation device on Tae-Yang's belt chirped to life. Recognized, it said in a flat electronic voice. Packin, hunt friend. The Nethril Alpha approached Nara slowly. When it reached her, it pressed its head against her hand. Nara slowly stroked the creature's fur. The Alpha made a satisfied sound, then turned and led its pack away into the forest. They accepted us, Nara said, her voice shaking with emotion. They saw us as fellow predators. As equals. Over the next week, the team encountered more predator species. Each encounter followed a pattern. Initial caution, assessment, testing, and then recognition. A massive flying creature called a Kelthrax followed them for 3 days. It never attacked, just watched from above, curious about these strange new beings in its territory. A pack of Morvok, which looked like bears mixed with lizards, shared their kill with the humans one evening. Jinseo understood what it meant. The Morvok saw them as part of the territory, not as threats or prey. Taeyang spent his evenings reviewing data and forming his theory. On the 8th night, he shared his findings with the team. "I've been studying the behavioral patterns of every predator we've encountered," he said, projecting holograms of different species, "and I've compared them to Earth's apex predators." "Do you know what I found?" "What?" Jinseo asked. "All apex predators, regardless of what world they evolved on, share certain traits: forward-facing eyes for depth perception, pack behavior or territoriality, hunting strategies that require planning and intelligence, pattern recognition, social intelligence." He pulled up brain scans of different species. "Look at this. The brain structures are different, obviously. Different biochemistry, different evolution, but the cognitive patterns are similar. The way these creatures think, the way they process information, the way they understand the world, it's remarkably consistent across species." "Convergent evolution," Nara said. "Same environmental pressures leading to similar solutions." "Exactly," Taeyang agreed. "Becoming an apex predator requires certain adaptations, both physical and mental, and those adaptations are recognizable to other apex predators, even across species barriers." Jinseo stared at the scans. "So when these creatures look at us, they recognize the same cognitive patterns they have," Taeyang finished. "They see the way we move, the way we watch our environment, the way we position ourselves. They see our eyes, our posture, our behavior, and something in their brain says, this is like me. This is kin. This is another hunter." "But the coalition species don't have these patterns," Nara said. "No, they don't. They evolved completely different survival strategies. Prey species develop different cognitive patterns: wide field vision for spotting threats, enhanced hearing, flight responses. Their brains are wired for escape, not pursuit." It made sense to Jinseo. She had noticed it in how different coalition species moved and acted. They were always checking for exits, maintaining distance, avoiding direct eye contact. Prey behaviors. On their last day on Karvos 9, Jinseo sat near a resting Kelthrax. The massive creature had landed nearby that morning and simply stayed, watching her with intelligent eyes. She looked into those eyes and saw something she recognized. Not from any specific memory, but from something deeper, something ancient in her genetic code. The recognition of a fellow hunter. A being who understood the chase, the kill, the dance of predator and prey. "I see you," she said softly to the Kelthrax. The creature blinked slowly, deliberately, a gesture of peace among many Earth predators. As their shuttle lifted off from Karvos 9, Jinseo looked down at the planet. Somewhere down there, predators from a dozen extinct civilizations lived their lives. They had lost their worlds, their freedom, their wild places. But they hadn't lost themselves, and now they had found something unexpected: kinship with humans, the newest predators in the galaxy. Taeyang was already writing his report. "The Coalition needs to understand this," he said. "Predators aren't mindless killing machines. They're intelligent, complex beings capable of recognition and respect, maybe even friendship. Will they listen?" Nara asked. "They have to," Jinseo said, still watching the planet shrink below them. Ambassador Yuri couldn't sleep. He stood in his quarters on Station Theta 7, staring at the stars through the viewport. Months had passed since Dr. Hyan's presentation, since the mission to Karvos 9, since humanity learned the truth about the Coalition. And things were getting worse, not better. Reports came in daily of Coalition species distancing themselves from human colonies. Trade agreements stalled. Cultural exchanges were canceled. Fear was spreading. A message appeared on his personal tablet. It was from Council Leader Threnol. "Meet me in Archive Section 7, come alone. Tell no one." Yuri frowned. The archives were restricted areas. What could Threnol want to show him there? An hour later, he stood outside a massive door deep in the station's oldest section. Threnol waited there, looking around nervously. "Thank you for coming," the old alien said. "What I'm about to show you could change everything. Or it could mean nothing. I don't know anymore." They entered the archive. It was a vast chamber filled with data crystals and ancient storage devices. The air smelled of dust and age. I have brought help, Threnal said. Two humans emerged from the shadows. Yuri recognized them from the research vessel. Sungmin, the man introduced himself. I'm an archaeologist and historian. The council leader contacted Earth directly and asked for experts. I'm Yunji, the woman said. I work with ancient languages and encrypted data. What is this about? Yuri asked. Threnal led them deeper into the archive. I have been a council leader for 40 years. I have access to restricted files, classified information from the Coalition's earliest days. Most of it is routine. But there are gaps, blank spaces in our history, things that were deliberately erased. They stopped at a console. Threnal activated it and holograms appeared showing timelines and data streams. The Galactic Coalition was founded 5,000 years ago, Threnal explained. Every species knows this. It is taught to our children. But what came before? There should be records of exploration, a first contact between species of the early days of space travel, but those records are incomplete. Sungmin leaned forward, studying the data. These gaps are intentional. Someone removed specific information from the archives. Yes, Threnal said. And I think I know what they removed. The old alien pulled up another set of files. These were fragments, pieces of data that hadn't been completely erased. Yunji's eyes widened. This references another coalition. Before the current one, the first coalition, Threnal said quietly, an alliance that existed billions of years ago, before the current coalition formed. It included both predator and prey species working together. Yuri felt his heart race. What happened to it? I don't know. The records are too fragmented. But something catastrophic occurred. Something that made the prey species decide to build a new coalition without predators. For hours they worked through the fragments. Sungmin reconstructed timelines. Yunji decoded ancient data formats. Slowly a picture emerged. The first coalition had been vast. Hundreds of species, both prey and predator, living and working together. They had achieved remarkable things. Technology beyond what the current coalition possessed. Peaceful trade routes. Shared knowledge. But then came something called the Great Silence. Within a relatively short period, all the predator species vanished from galactic civilization. Their colonies went dark. Their ships stopped flying. Their communications ceased. What could cause that? Yuri asked. Some kind of plague? I don't think so, Sungmin said, pointing to a fragment. Look at this. It's a partial record from a prey species. It says the decision was difficult but necessary. We could not live in fear any longer. They killed them, Threnal said quietly, or drove them away. The prey species united and removed all predators from the galaxy. The weight of that statement hung in the air. Genocide on a galactic scale. The deliberate extinction of hundreds of predator species by the very prey they once hunted. Yunji found more fragments. These were even more disturbing. Records of predator species that had achieved intelligence and spaceflight, only to be quietly destroyed by coalition forces. Planets sterilized, colonies eliminated, all traces of predator civilizations erased from history. The coalition we know today was built on the bones of the first coalition, Sungmin said. They rewrote history, made it seem like prey species were the only intelligent life that ever existed. Until humans, Yuri added. Until humans, Threnal agreed. You are the first predator species to achieve spaceflight since the Great Silence. The first predators to join the coalition in billions of years. Do you understand now why some species fear you? Yuri understood. Humanity represented the return of something the galaxy thought it had eliminated forever. But Yunji had found something else. She pulled up a series of images from dozens of different worlds, from species that had gone extinct millions of years ago. They were cave paintings and monuments, primitive art from prey species that had never met each other, never knew the others existed. But the paintings were remarkably similar. They showed figures with forward-facing eyes, upright posture, beings that looked almost human, though they couldn't be. These were made long before humanity existed. What are we looking at? Yuri asked. I think, Yunji said carefully, these are memories, cultural memories of the predators that once existed. Look at how they're depicted. Not as monsters, not as enemies, but as something else. Guardians, maybe. Or teachers. Sungmin examined the paintings closely. These prey species, they remembered their predators with something like reverence. Yes, they feared them, But they also respected them, maybe even needed them in some way. Threnall pulled up one final file. This one was different. It was a scientific study from the first coalition, dated billions of years ago. "This is what I really wanted you to see," Threnall said. The study explored something called predator consciousness. It theorized that apex predators across the galaxy, despite evolving on different worlds with different biochemistry, developed remarkably similar cognitive patterns. The study listed these patterns: advanced spatial reasoning for tracking prey, social intelligence for pack coordination, pattern recognition for understanding behavior, future planning for ambush strategies, and something else, something the ancient scientists called recognition protocols. "What does that mean?" Yuri asked. Yunji read the file carefully. "It says that apex predators develop the ability to recognize similar cognitive patterns in other species. They can identify fellow predators even from completely different evolutionary backgrounds because the mental structures required for predation are so specific and consistent. It's more than just seeing forward-facing eyes," Sungmin added, reading over her shoulder. "It's recognizing the way another being thinks, the way they process information, the way they understand space, time, cause, and effect. Predators think differently than prey, and they can recognize that difference in others. That's why the Vrax didn't attack Jinseo's team," Yuri realized. Why the Nethril accepted Nara. They recognized human cognitive patterns as similar to their own. "And it works both ways," Threnall said. "When you look at predator species, do you feel the same recognition?" Yuri thought about meeting Kelth, the Vrelnir ambassador. The lack of fear he felt. The strange sense of kinship. "Yes," he admitted. "I do." They spent the rest of the night going through files. By morning, they had a clear picture of what had happened. The first coalition fell apart because prey species could never truly trust predators. Even peaceful, intelligent predators still carried the hunting instinct. The prey species, tired of living in fear, made a decision. They used their superior numbers and unified purpose to remove all predators from the galaxy. But they couldn't remove the memory. Couldn't erase billions of years of evolution that taught prey to recognize predators. So they built a civilization based on peace, on cooperation, on the absence of conflict. They convinced themselves they had evolved beyond the need for predators. Then humans arrived, carrying in their DNA and their behavior all the markers of an apex predator, walking proof that you could be a hunter and still build a civilization, that predators could be intelligent, cooperative, peaceful. "What do I do with this information?" Yuri asked Threnall as dawn broke over the station. "Tell your people," the old alien said. "They deserve to know what they're walking into. The galaxy is not the peaceful paradise we pretended it was. It's built on fear and old violence. Will you be in trouble for showing me this?" "Probably," Threnall said with a sad smile. "But I voted to accept humanity into the coalition. I believed then, and I still believe, that you are different. You might be the second chance the galaxy needs, a chance to heal the ancient wound between predator and prey." Yuri left the archives as the station woke up around him. He carried data crystals full of evidence, fragments of a forgotten history. As he walked through the corridors, he looked at the other species around him. Prey species, all of them, living their lives, eating plants or peaceful foods, raising families, building things. They seemed so gentle, so harmless. But they had destroyed entire civilizations, had committed genocide on a scale that made human history look small. All because they were afraid. Could humanity exist in a galaxy built on such fear? Could humans help the coalition overcome its ancient trauma? Or would humanity simply... The broadcast went out across human space first, then to the entire galactic coalition. Ambassador Yuri's face appeared on billions of screens as he revealed the truth about the first coalition. The Great Silence and the ancient genocide of predator species. Captain Daewon watched the broadcast from his ship, now stationed near a human colony world called New Haven. He saw the shock on Yuri's face as he explained what they had found in the archives. The old man looked tired, aged by the weight of what he knew. "The galaxy we joined is built on fear and violence," Yuri said in his broadcast. "But humanity can be different. We can show the coalition that predators and prey can coexist, that the ancient wound can heal." The reaction was immediate and catastrophic. 3 coalition species withdrew from the alliance within hours. They claimed they felt unsafe with humans as members. 5 more species demanded emergency votes on humanity's status. Protests broke out on several coalition worlds, prey species marching against human colonies. But something else happened too. Younger coalition members, especially those born after the founding, spoke out in support of humanity. They argued that the crimes of the past shouldn't define the future. Some even traveled to human worlds to show solidarity. Earth's government was in chaos. Some leaders wanted to withdraw from the coalition entirely. Others wanted to stay and fight for humanity's place. A few extreme voices suggested using humanity's military advantage to demand respect. Day 1 received his orders 3 days after the broadcast. Report to Station Theta 7 for emergency assignment. Multiple crisis situations requiring human intervention. He arrived to find the station in turmoil. Security had been tripled. Species that once mingled freely now stayed in separate sectors. The peaceful harmony he had seen on his first visit was gone. Captain Day 1, a coalition officer, greeted him. "You're assigned to Crisis Team 3. We have situations on Carvos 9, on Colony World Epsilon 12, and here on the station itself." The first crisis was on Carvos 9. A group of humans had gone to the Predator Reserve and refused to leave. They called themselves the Apex Brotherhood and claimed that humans should embrace their predator nature fully. Captain Bo-Ra met Day 1 at the planet's landing zone. She commanded Earth's deep space exploration vessel and had been trying to negotiate with the cult for 2 weeks. "They've been living among the Vrax and Nethral," Bo-Ra explained as they flew toward the cult's camp. "The predators haven't attacked them. In fact, the Vrax seem to be protecting them. It's making the coalition very nervous." "How many humans are involved?" Day 1 asked. 23. Mixed backgrounds. Some were scientists. Some were just civilians looking for meaning. They've completely rejected human civilization. They found the camp in a clearing. The humans there wore primitive clothing and carried weapons made from local materials. They looked healthy but wild, their eyes holding something fierce and strange. The cult leader approached as Day 1 stepped off the transport. He was a young man with scars on his arms and a Vrax resting beside him like a massive, scaled pet. "Captain Day 1, the man said. "I'm Wanshik. I assume you're here to take us back to our safe, boring human colonies." "I'm here to understand what you're doing," Day 1 replied calmly. "Why did you leave?" Wanshik gestured to the forest around them. "Because out here, we're honest. We're not pretending to be something we're not. We're predators, Captain. We always have been. Human civilization is just a costume we wear to hide what we really are." A Vrax emerged from the forest and moved to Wanshik's side. The creature's camouflage flickered off, revealing its beautiful scales. "It made a low sound, almost protective, you see," Wanshik said. "The Vrax understands me better than most humans do. It recognizes what I am, what we all are." Day 1 studied the cult members. They looked at him with challenge in their eyes. They expected him to condemn them, to force them back to civilization. Instead, he sat down on a rock. "Tell me something, Wanshik. What do you think predators are?" The question surprised the young man. "What do you mean? On Earth, the most successful predators weren't the biggest or most aggressive. They were the smartest. Lions hunt in prides working together. Wolves have complex social structures. Orcas teach their young and mourn their dead. Being a predator doesn't mean being a mindless killer. It means being intelligent enough to survive." Day 1 pointed at the Vrax. "That creature is protecting you. Why? Because you respect it. Because you understand it. That's predator behavior too. Recognizing strength. Choosing cooperation over conflict." Wanshik frowned. "You're saying we should go back? Live in cities? Pretend to be tame?" "I'm saying there's more than one way to be a predator. You can honor your nature without abandoning everything that makes you human. Intelligence, community, choice." Bo-Ra added quietly. "The Vrax chooses to stay with you. It could leave any time. It's choosing cooperation. Maybe you should too." The cult members talked among themselves for hours. In the end, most agreed to return to human space, not because they rejected their predator nature, but because they understood it better. A few stayed on Carvos 9 as official researchers, building a bridge between humans and the predator species. The second crisis was on the colony world Epsilon 12. Colony Director Jehoon had allowed his people to coexist with the planet's native apex predator. The Hralic Coalition observers were horrified. They wanted the predators eliminated or relocated. Jehoon refused. Day 1 arrived to find a remarkable situation. The Hralic were massive pack hunters that looked like a cross between bears and wolves. They had their territory in the mountains. The humans had their colony in the valley. Both groups had learned to share the planet. They hunt the Morvok herds, Jae-hoon explained, showing Daewon the arrangement. We don't compete for food. We don't enter their territory without permission. They don't raid our colony. It's a respectful coexistence. The coalition says you're violating safety protocols, Daewon said. The coalition is afraid, Jae-hoon replied. But we're not. The Hralic recognize us as fellow predators. We have an understanding. As if to prove his point, a Hralic alpha approached the colony's edge. It made a specific sound, and Jae-hoon responded with a similar vocalization. That's the greeting call, Jae-hoon explained. We've learned their basic communication. They warn us when dangerous storms are coming. We warn them when we see threats to their packs. Daewon watched the massive predator and saw no aggression in its posture. Just watchful respect. The same way a wolf might regard a bear. Powerful, dangerous, but not an enemy. I'll tell the coalition this arrangement is safe, Daewon decided. If they want to remove the Hralic, they'll have to go through humanity first. The final crisis was on Station Theta 7 itself. The coalition assembly was preparing for a vote on humanity's status. Daewon arrived to find the assembly hall packed with representatives from hundreds of species. Ambassador Yuri looked exhausted. Dr. Hyon stood beside him, preparing for one final presentation. This is it, Yuri told Daewon. If we lose this vote, humanity is expelled from the coalition. We'll be isolated, treated as a threat. The debate was fierce. Species after species stood to express their fears. Humans were predators. Predators couldn't be trusted. History proved this. Then Dr. Hyon took the stage one more time. You're right, she said simply. Humans are predators. We evolved from hunters. We have predator eyes, predator instincts, predator thoughts. We can't change that, and we won't apologize for it. The assembly murmured. This wasn't what they expected. But being a predator doesn't mean what you think it means, Hyun continued. Humans became apex predators through cooperation, not competition. We hunted in groups. We cared for our sick and injured. We shared food. We developed empathy and compassion because pack hunting requires trusting your teammates with your life. She showed images of human history. Not the wars and violence, but the other parts. Humans rescuing strangers, adopting orphaned children from other families, creating art and music, building hospitals and schools. We're predators who chose to protect the weak instead of consuming them. Predators who built civilizations based on caring for each other. Predators who looked at the food chain we climbed and decided to pull others up instead of pushing them down. Council leader Threnal stood up. The old alien walked slowly to the center of the assembly floor. This was unprecedented. Council leaders rarely spoke during votes. I am Threnal, the alien said. I am of the Pelvin, a prey species. My ancestors were hunted for millions of years by predators on my world. I carry that fear in my genetic memory. Every instinct I have tells me to run from predators. Threnal turned and looked directly at Daewon. The prey species and the predator locked eyes. But I am not my ancestors, Threnal said. And humans are not the predators of the past. When I look at Captain Daewon, I see a predator. But I also see honor, courage, kindness. I see a being capable of great violence who chooses peace. The old alien took a step toward Daewon, then another. The assembly watched in silence as the prey species approached the predator. I see you, Threnal said, using the phrase from the old recognition protocols. I see what you are, and I am not afraid. Threnal extended a hand. Daewon, understanding the gesture's importance, reached out and took it. Predator and prey clasping hands in